Okay, this video will be about understanding your stick, or looking towards understanding the different terminologies, the different parts of the stick, where certain people, when they explain about a certain part of the stick, so that you can understand a bit better, and ultimately once you understand them better, it actually aids you in choosing the right stick for yourself. Alright, let's get into it. The very first thing I'm going to cover is the different parts of the stick, the names or the terms. Right, up right at the bottom of the stick is what we call the blade. Now the blade, the area that I'm touching over here, that is the blade by itself. Right, it is actually detachable. Right, it is usually being screwed in with two screws, one on each side. So this is the blade. Next is actually the shaft. Now the shaft is actually referring to the part where once the blade is being detached out, this longish thing, right, that is the shaft itself. Okay, later when I covered the length, right, when I talk about the length of the stick, usually people are referring to the length of the shaft. Okay, lastly, back to the parts, right, it's actually the grip. Right, you can see I'm using a wide grip over here. So the grip of the stick is also a very important element, because without a grip, we'll just get blisters all over. So basically the three terms: the blade, the shaft, and as well as the grip. Okay, next I'm going to go into the length. Now, knowing the different parts is one thing, right? I'm not going to go in depth about like what kind of blade is good or whatsoever, but generally speaking, when we talk about length, the length of the stick has to be at a suitable length, such that you can play, you can reach out for the ball, you can protect the ball during the game. Now, so how long of a length is then suitable for your height at this current moment of time? Over at the description below, I actually put down a recommended guide. Okay, but if not, for a person like me, I'm about 167, 168 height. My recommended, or the stick shaft length, right, that I'm using is 96 cm. Okay, now it does not mean it is applicable for all. The general guidelines that coaches these days usually give, it's a range of length that they will propose or suggest. Thereafter, it depends on the player to go ahead and try out whether they would like it a bit longer, or they would like it to be a bit shorter. Okay, but for me myself, I prefer 96 cm, because it's not too long, it's not too short. It's a length where I can reach out for the ball, I can protect the ball, but it's not too short where, you know, it's just out of my reach, or not too long such that it affects my shot. So there are several considerations in terms of length, but essentially you got to go and find it out what is suitable for you. But like I said, there's a recommended chart that I've attached in the YouTube link, or rather description below. Okay, next is actually a thing called flex. Now, for those of you who do not know, flex is actually referring to how much the stick can bend. Okay, how much the stick can bend before it breaks. Now, usually for experienced players, right, they'll use flex to aid in the passing, in their shooting, right? But for beginners, you can actually refer flex to determine whether is that stick suitable for you. Now, for flex, right, usually we talk about a number. Right, using my stick for example, the number over here as indicated is 29. Okay, 29 is actually referring to 2.9 mm. Now, some sticks they just list the double digit figure. Some stick they do list it in a decimal point, where it's stated 2.9 or 2.8 or 3.2. But the general guideline is the higher the number, the less stiffer it is. The lower the number, the stiffer it is. Now, what does that mean? It just simply means, right, for beginners who are still not used to the game, they're still learning the game, trying to understand the game more, the general guideline is to get a flex which is slightly higher. Now, for youth players, of course, do get a higher flex stick, because it will aid them in their passing and especially in their shooting. If you get a stick that's just too stiff for you, what you will find out is, while taking a shot, for example, right, the stick is not flexible during your shots, such that you feel that something is just stopping you from taking a good shot. Okay, so again, for flex of the stick for beginners or for sort of lighter weight players like me, do not get a flex that's too high. Okay, so the guideline for me is about 27 to 29. That's for me. For youth players, I would recommend above 29. Then for ladies, I'll probably recommend above 29 as well. You can go all the way to 30, 31, or even 32. Okay, but for experienced players, usually they will get a lower flex. It might go to 27, 26, or even 25, 24. Okay, so that's on the flex. Now, of course, in order to make the material of the stick, right, there is a certain mixture of materials that's inside the stick that makes this stick a stick. All right, so generally speaking, all right, there's two kinds of materials that's out there. Again, generally speaking, okay, number one, right, if you see sticks around, sometimes they list a word called composite. Composite, C-O-M-P-O-S-I-T-E. Now, composite actually just means that the materials inside is a mixture of different materials, and therefore it is a composite material. Now, usually this material will be made for basic to lower end price stick, and therefore they are slightly a bit heavier and sort of usually promote as a less durable stick. But however, it is usually more recommended for beginners or for youth players. Okay, so composite material, it's again more for lower price stick, more for the youth, and more for those who just started the game basically. Okay, but on the other spectrum, the higher end sticks, usually it will have materials that's carbon fiber. Of course, even carbon fiber have different tiers, but the better end or the higher end sticks are usually carbon fiber materials. They are much more lighter, which represents a lot more durable. But of course, at the end of the day, whatever materials that's being used, nothing is unbreakable. Okay, if unforeseen circumstances or in cases where during the game, the stick gets stuck in between the legs of an opponent, or sometimes unfortunately it gets stuck in between the boards as well, and if there's a sudden push or sudden wrong angle snap, any stick might break as well. Okay, so all sticks are actually breakable. It's just a matter of the feel, the balance of the weight, and also the cost of the materials. Okay, so as you look into the finding sticks of your own, now the more expensive sticks does not mean that it's suitable for you. The less rather expensive, or the cheaper sticks does not mean that it's just too cheap, or it's just too not so good to play. You gotta have a balance in between the length of the stick, the flex of the stick, and of course, like I said, just consider the materials before also considering the price. Okay, last but not least, there is a fundamental concept because I want to touch on, which is, do you hold the stick on the left side or do you hold the stick on the right side? Okay, there is a way of teaching it, and my way is usually based on your master hand. Now for me, I'm a right-hander, and so therefore my stick that I'm going to hold, my right hand, I'm going to hold it on top of the stick shaft. My left hand, I'm going to put it somewhere just below. Okay, so I'm just going to stand up and so they can see. Right hand on top of the stick shaft. Second, my left hand or somewhere just at the mid stick area, and therefore, right, I'm actually a lefty. I'm just going to turn around the screen. All right, this is my right hand, and I'm actually holding a lefty stick. Of course, vice versa, if it's on the other side, if I'm a left-hander, I'm going to put my left hand on top, my right hand somewhere in the middle of the stick, and I'm going to place the stick mostly on my right side, and therefore I'm a righty. So in essence, right, there are people that are actually very confused when they first start off the game. Some might, because of for various reasons, because of the more deeper impression that they get from field hockey, where field hockey, every players have to hold a righty stick. Whereas some might give an impression that because they have some backgrounds in tennis, they have some background in table tennis, and therefore they might use the right hand more to swing this way, and therefore they might feel that my right hand has to be below in order to swing the stick when I do my pass or my shots. But for floorball, the general guideline is actually your master hand would be on top of the shaft, and your non-master hand will be somewhere just below. Of course, there is a need to have some time to adjust and adapt in terms of understanding that side of the stick. But as you practice past the first probably few weeks of proper training, you'll be able to get used to it and understand that, oh, that is actually yours. But of course, there are certain scenarios where a player or person is actually ambidextrous, which means he or she is almost equivalent strength and power for both hands. For that, I'll usually just say just try out on both sides before you commit to buying a stick. Okay, try out on both sides for a couple of times, see which side you're more comfortable before you commit into getting a new stick. So in summary, the different parts of the stick, as I explained, the blade, the shaft, as well as the grip. Thereafter, I mentioned about the length, right? The length recommendation would usually depends on your height, then plus minus a bit here and there before you find a suitable length. Next is the flex of the stick. The lower the flex, the stiffer it is. The higher the flex, the less stiff it is. And lastly, materials, right? It's either made of composite material or carbon fiber. Okay, and of course, last but not least, the lefty and righty choice. Okay, once you get to know more of now that you know these different parts of the stick and the specifications, when you approach or go towards buying a stick, let's say from online or from the store, you will be able to better identify what is actually suitable for you, and you won't be just looking at just the colors or just the price or probably even what the salesman actually says. Okay, I hope this video is useful and you'll check it out in the next few videos. Thanks.